Shalom Eastern Shore. I am Rabbi David Tokajer with Congregation Maim Chaim, the Eastern Shore's Messianic Synagogue, and I am bringing you your daily dose of living water. I want to talk to you today from 1 Kings 19. This is the account of Elijah and Ahab and Jezebel. To this point, Ahab has had prophets and righteous people of Israel killed because of his own idolatrous heart. However, Elijah is still alive and finds himself on the run. Elijah is not only a prophet himself, but is a very righteous and holy man who has a powerful zeal for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Elijah cries out to the Lord out of pain and anguish for Israel, out of a broken heart for his God, and especially out of a fear that he is perhaps the only righteous person left among the Jewish people. And it is here that we find a unique conversation he has with the Lord in 1 Kings 19, beginning with verse 9. And it says, "When he arrived there at the cave, he spent the night there. Then behold, the word of Adonai came to him. And he said to him, 'What are you doing here, Elijah?' 'I have been very zealous for Adonai Zevaot,' he said, 'for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, torn down your altars, and slain your prophets with the sword, and I alone am left. And they are seeking my life to take it.' Then he said, 'Come out and stand on the mount before Adonai.' Behold, Adonai was passing by, and a great and mighty wind was tearing at the mountains and shattering cliffs before Adonai, but Adonai was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but Adonai was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake a fire, but Adonai was not in the fire. After the fire there was a soft whisper of a voice. As soon as Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle, went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Then all of a sudden, a voice addressed him and said, 'What are you doing here, Elijah?'" Elijah is seeking the leading of Adonai. He trusts fully in the Lord's protection, and he has heard the voice of God before. But in his fear, he cries out of pain and anger as he is struggling to see what God is doing, what God has in store, and what God desires for him to do. Elijah is having a conversation with God. He hears the Lord's instruction to come outside, but then he is struggling to find the voice of God again. There's a mighty wind, but no voice in the wind. There's an earthquake, but no voice in the earthquake. There's a tremendous fire, but still no voice in the fire. Finally, there is a still, small, quiet voice, a soft whisper, so soft, so mild, so quiet that if Elijah didn't shut up quickly, he couldn't hear it. And it was in this whisper that Elijah hears the voice of God speak. How many times do we find ourselves in Elijah's shoes? Maybe not literally with someone trying to kill us, but still. We are seeking the voice of God, seeking answers and guidance. We pray and we pray and we pray. Maybe we yell and scream, but in our passion, we forget that sometimes God simply wants us to shut up and listen. He speaks in a soft whisper and a still small voice at times because he needs us to shut up and listen. Do you find yourself speaking over God and unable to hear his voice in your life now? Maybe it's time to be quiet, to be still and listen. Shalom.